5 years ago, I was on the DC Metro. Just 2 more stops and then home. The train entered the tunnel after L'Enfant Station and jerked to a stop. It lurched forward and stalled again. Nothing unusual until smoke started seeping in from the ceiling vents. It even got the attention of passengers glued to their phones. The conductor announced plans to move the train. He said, "Stay inside. I don't want to run anyone over. The third rail could electrocute you." Moments later, the train lost electricity, no movement or intercom, and limited lights. Side doors were locked. We were trapped in a smoke chamber. Fear was as thick as the acrid smoke. As the smoke increased, so did the noise level of passengers. One man cursed and tried to wedge the doors apart. He beat on them with fists and backpack. Another passenger sobbed, "We're going to die." Panic was spreading. All we knew, we were stuck on a train in a tunnel with no escape. In the limited light, I noticed it was clearer near the floor. My survival instincts kicked in. I yelled, "Get down! It's less smoky by the floor." Most people dropped. We waited. About an hour after the train stopped, I heard rescuers. Evacuation had started from the rear. Many of us were treated for smoke inhalation. One woman died. Today's readings bring back those memories. In the first reading, Jeremiah says, "I hear the whisperings of many, terror on every side." Fear may start as a whisper, but the volume increases as emotions get stronger. Fear is like a virus, invisible at first, but then it shows up in words and behavior. We know these things about fear. Fear is natural. It starts in a part of the brain called the amygdala. Fear is contagious. The yelling metro passengers scared others. When we feel lost and helpless, fear spreads like a virus. Fear can be life-saving. It's a survival mechanism that reminds us to be careful. Don't get too close to the edge. You might slip. But fear can also be life-denying. It can be a delusion that says, "Don't. You might get hurt." Don't say yes to giving a speech. You might freeze or look like an idiot. Or, don't try. What if you fail? Yes, fear can be a monster of our own making. In today's gospel, Jesus tells the 12, "Do not be afraid," and not just once, but 3 times. And others have counted. The Bible tells us over 300 times, "Do not fear." In Matthew 10, verse 26, Jesus says, "Do not be afraid. Speak out, proclaim from the roofs." In verse 28, he says, "Do not be afraid of those who can kill the body. They cannot kill the soul." And in verse 31, he reiterates, "Do not be afraid." How do we overcome fear? It's more complicated than someone saying, "Don't be afraid." Taming this emotion requires more than a command or a suggestion, even from a trusted source. Since you're listening, it means you trust Jesus. Trust carries special weight in the fight against fear. But even so, it's easier said than done. When you're anxious, someone's screaming, "Calm down." Well, sometimes that just doesn't help. So what's the solution? Do you remember the grade school fire drill? Stop, drop, roll. Here's a modification. Think of it as a fear drill. Stop, drop, pray. Stop. Take a deep breath and collect yourself. Assess your surroundings. Is the threat real? Should I be worried? Stay calm and then carry on. Drop. Change your perspective. Drop to your knees or the floor. Maybe it's less smoky near the ground. Shine a light and take a look where it's clear. Pray. Ask for help. The Serenity prayer is my go-to. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Serenity means accepting that our power is limited. Don't waste energy fighting what you can't control. Courage requires bravery. Wisdom is deciding, what can I control? Is fear keeping me from harm, or is it keeping me from something life-affirming? First discern, then act. Everyone will face scary things. It doesn't have to be a smoky metro. Fear doesn't have to define who we are. We can learn from the tests life throws in our path. So remember, fear is like a virus with no quick or easy cure. Courage is like a vaccine against fear, and we can draw strength from Jesus. His words remind us of the antidote. Don't be afraid. Stop, drop, pray. Listen carefully, choose consciously, ask for help. May God's grace give you peace and courage on the journey. Amen.